Hello, Internet. Mike Berlini here, playing Vampire the Masquerade Coteries of New York. Alright, just going to pick up right where we left off. Remember, if you like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe. Alright. Alright. So... who do I want to go to? Sophie requests your presence tonight and it seems urgent. You find her already waiting for you and clearly pondering something. It takes a few minutes of awkward silence before she speaks. I require your assistance, Em. There is a matter of great importance that I need to ask you to resolve for me. You will find what I'm about to say surprising, I'm sure, but I need you to hear me out. I need you to contact an important anarch figure in New York City and arrange a meeting for us. Okay. What business do you have meeting anarchs? What business do you have meeting anarchs? They're the enemies of the Camarilla. Isn't that right? That is nominally true. There's much bad blood between our factions, but it's not as simple as a state of constant war. You'll find that with this, as with many other things, Camarilla's policies have more than their share of hypocrisy inherent in them. It comes hand in hand with using medieval power structures. What we are forbidden to do, the prince may do willingly. Some of these things can be done in the open, while others are kept secret as to not invite discord and discontent. We need to contact a man named Torque. He's an influential member of the movement and, like most of them, very suspicious of the Camarilla. That's why I'm sending you to extend my invitation. Why are you sending me? Why not go yourself? Because the anarchs see me as too rooted in the Camarilla. I am well known and they will be too skeptical of me. My limited sources adjacent to the movement gathered that your best chance to speak to Torque is to first meet with his right-hand woman, Mia. She's a regular at a club called the Leech Pit. I think it would be best if you presented yourself as an anarch hopeful, a fledgling looking for a place of belonging. Only after you talk to Torque directly should you mention my name in the meeting. I don't think that's the right approach. Lying to them won't make them trust me. When they find out the truth, they won't be happy or eager to work with us. That might be true, but if you tell me outright that I sent you, she's likely to cut you off. She hates our sect and it will be difficult to make her listen to reason. After tonight, I suggest that we do not speak of this again until you arrange the meeting. There are many who would jump at the chance to use this against us. With Kaiser, you have proven you can get the job done, even if it requires additional legwork. I trust you to deal with this task as quickly and covertly as possible. Forgive me, but that's all the time I can spare tonight. What I'm asking of you is just a part of a bigger whole. Trust me, it will all be worth it. It better be worth it. I'm the one risking my neck for some kind of convoluted conspiracy. When I meet with Torque, you will be there, and much will be revealed. I think that when you hear our discussion, you will be glad you helped me set it up. Check with Gregory for the address of the Leech Pit. Have me introduce you to Torque. When she does, tell him I wish to meet. Let him pick the time and place, but let it be soon. If he proves too guarded, tell him I have something that will help him gather allies against Boss Callahan. That should pique his interest. Good luck, and obviously not a word about this to anyone else. Not even any new friends you might have made in recent nights. This stays between us. The way she says that final sentence suggests a not-so-veiled threat, but a warm smile belies that impression. You want her to keep trusting you. You wouldn't want to disappoint her. Gregory gives you the address. The club is in Brooklyn. Apparently it's some kind of heavy metal bar with a dedicated concert space. Time to pay this Mia a visit. The place is teeming with people tonight. You arrive in the middle of a concert. The music is loud, almost deafening, and it takes you a while to get used to it. The noise hurts your ears. This venue isn't suitable for this kind of music. None of the instruments sound the way they should. Cacophony sets you on edge. A group of a few dozen patrons are tightly packed together, and the smell of their sweet and youthful excited blood overwhelms you momentarily. Some difficulty that you turn to the task at hand. You've heard your share about the anarchs and how they fit into Kinder politics, while you only have your short encounter in Corona Pocket with the base your actual opinion of the faction. It might have just been a horrible first impression, but you're keeping your gut up just in case. Sharpening your sense in the place like this is a huge gamble. You try doing it slowly, bit by bit, where loud sounds and lights don't dull your perception. A face flashes before your eyes in a mosh pit that just formed in front of the stage. Were those fangs? You're pretty sure you saw fangs on one of the girls. A short pause in the music lets you take a closer look. Yeah, she's different from the others. You notice small details. No perspiration, paleness of her skin. It was nothing. Or this is the spot to meet hot chicks that hate the patriarchy. Anarchs, you could say. Seriously? That's the best line you came up with? She doesn't smile, but she doesn't hate you either. Follow me behind the bar. She leads you through the bar to a back door that leads into a side room. Indie metal band posters are plastered in every wall, some of them 20 or more years old, judging from the tour dates. An old, sticky table and some rickety chairs are the only pieces of furniture here. Sit down. Sure. You take a seat as the woman leans against one of the walls. Your name's Mia. I'm guessing your visit here isn't a happy coincidence. I don't know you, so either you're new in New York or kept an outstandingly low profile. Both sound suspect. So before we take these pleasantries further, answer me this. Who do you run with? I'm independent. I don't bow to anyone. Isn't that adorable? Listen, fledgling. You don't get to be this fresh in the game and not pick a side. Those inquisitive fucks are all too happy to pick on delusional kids like you. So are the cams. They offer you rewards aplenty for your servitude, but never actually deliver. Fortunately for you, there's another option. But before I get to that, let's get one thing out of the way. She leans in. If this is some clever ploy to oust me from my domain, or if you're just here to spy on me and the movement, I'll make sure that you don't enjoy undeath much longer. Got it? You can tell it's a purely rhetorical question. Alright, here's the pitch. The Camarilla likes to think they're the vanilla option, with Prince Bitch Panhard pretending that they were always in charge. But New York has never been a full cami city. You might have won the city in '99, but cams have had their asses handed to them many times over the years. The movement has been here at least as long as they have. Hell, I moved to NYC before World War II, and that was a good while after I saw the Camarilla for what they are. A way to keep us all subservient and in line. The Ivory Tower will tell you they're the only safeguard for the traditions, and that's kind of the problem. The only one tradition we in the movement feel should be respected. The Masquerade. Obviously. Everything else? Ask the prince and she'll tell you it's the logical continuation of the masquerade. But really, it's just a way to keep the elders powerful and in control. She grimaces. But here's the thing. All the talk of us bloodsuckers being solitary creatures, we need a community to keep up the masquerade. Community, yes. But authority, not so much. We need a council of peers to keep the assholes and power-drunk fledglings in check. Not a few little prints to tell you where to feed or who to hunt down when they step on her toes. She takes a brief break from her indigent rant. Sounds too good to be true. Mia bares her teeth in a predatory smile. You better believe it. Sure, we still have to struggle with the urges of our kind, but it's safer and more fair. We're as free as our condition permits, but unlike Autorakis, we don't stand alone. What the hell is that? Autorakis, the Unbounded, vampires who remain outside the larger kindred society of a given city, either by ignorance or choice. Usually considered anarchs by members of the Camarilla, though most Unbound have nothing to do with the movement. Ivory Tower is another name for the Camarilla. Okay. Nominally, a guy by the name of Callahan has been overseeing the movement's agenda in New York City for the past few decades. Most follow his lead. So, what you're saying is you should talk to Callahan? No, I'm saying you should talk to somebody else. If you're concerned about being well received in this city, you might need to go through Callahan. But if you're serious about the anarch cause itself, he's not your guy. Callahan eats up fledglings like you and shits out self-preservation. His position as Baron is mighty shaky now, at least due to the fact he's backstabbed more than his share of allies. Baron, at its most basic, a baron is the strong anarch who controls the territory and wields authority over those living in it. One of the most common types of barons is a lick who has a city neighborhood or even just a building. The other common type is a baron who attempts to control an entire city or town. A local strongman. He behaves suspiciously like a Camarilla prince. So he's doing what other old fart in a position of power would do. He's doubling down. Negotiations are out, intimidation is in. Tightening reins is a precaution against the Second Inquisition. She surprises you by hacking and spitting on the ground in disgust. If you spent some time in the cams, that should sound very familiar to you. He's no better than Panhard and her cronies are at this point. No, you need to contact Torque. Wouldn't you know it? It's your lucky night, because I'm the look to do it through. How is he different from Callahan? Motherfucker, you're really asking for it. Her anger flares up again. I'll pretend that was just a naive question and not a half-assed jab. Torque is a leader, a local baron who's overseeing a small domain, but doing a very good job of it. Callahan knows this, so he's giving him shit. Torque is taking it like a champ. He's smart like that. For one of us rebels, he's got the patience of a saint. Makes you think back to how things used to be way back when, if the stories are to be believed. Anyway, you want to meet him? I'm going to require a show of goodwill first. That's fair. What do you have in mind? She flashes you a mischievous half-smile. I appreciate your readiness, but I don't have the details just now. Ask for me at the bar when you're able. I'll leave something for you and we'll take it from there. Now, come on, we gotta go. She walks you out of the bar and you do your separate ways. Seems like there's nothing more to do than return here later and see if Mia really can help you contact Torque. Okay. You started to look at churches differently since your last encounter with Benoit. You're not really sure what happened inside, but it was obviously real. You felt it. When Benoit mentioned that being in the presence of Father Anthony's faith would eventually kill someone like you, an undead being, you believed him. It doesn't seem to be very common, though. In New York, you pass thousands of people every night. None of them have made you feel so afraid and insignificant. If you were to encounter someone like Father Anthony in the subway or nightclub, you would know. There are many churches in the 5 boroughs, and you're pretty sure most of them don't contain someone whose faith can touch you in this way. Yet you've become wary. You just might. Still, tonight the cathedral looks as it before. A striking landmark acting as a symbol of faith for people who have no idea that vampires exist in their midst. For them, questions of faith and myth are theoretical or philosophical. For you, those same questions only define the meaning of your new existence. You sneak into the cathedral like an old hand, as if going to church had been a regular part of your life. Inside, the cathedral is almost deserted. You're not sure if you'll be meeting Benoit alone. The idea of feeling Father Anthony's face on your undead flesh freezes you with terror. Benoit is waiting for you in the front pews of the cathedral in the exact same spot where you saw Father Anthony. Worried, you approach, but you don't feel the touch of faith that shook you before. Benoit nods as you sit next to him in the pew. I thought a lot about our last meeting. There are so many questions, I'm not sure where I can find the answers. I can tell you some things, but you'll grow dissatisfied with me and want to find answers of your own. That quest will never end. You've had some time to think. I'm guessing you found the touch of Father Anthony's faith hard to ignore. For most people, God's presence is a question of faith. When I talk with Father Anthony, it feels like proof. Benoit is fervent, intense as he speaks. It's clear these questions have consumed his existence. Perhaps they'll consume yours too. I just can't get the idea of divine purpose out of my mind. I know how that feels. It's clear we're here for a reason. Why? Benoit looks around reflexively to make sure nobody's listening. There are only a few people in the enormous cathedral, and they don't seem to be interested in 2 loners murmuring to each other in the front pew. It might seem like ancient history, things that happened thousands of years ago. Time works differently for our kind. If the stories are true, there are Methuselahs still in existence who walked the earth when Jesus was alive. Methuselah, a vampire who's existed for a millennium or more, an elder who no longer participates in kindred society. Methuselahs are rumored to hail from the 4th and 5th generations. The only problem is that vampires lie. They adjust history to suit their egos. Surely something was written down before the Masquerade was established. Of course, Tremere have many interesting manuscripts in their libraries. I've seen a few. If you have the chance, I recommend looking at them. This is how the story goes. God cursed Cain as punishment for the murder of Abel. Cain walked the night shunned by humanity and drank blood to sustain himself. Even from the point of our origin, we are damned. However, the story becomes really interesting when we move forward. Cain creates more of our kind, often referred to as the 2nd generation. They lived in the first city, later called Enoch, ruling openly over the city's human inhabitants. I see the first city as Cain's redemption. Cursed by God to wander, he remade himself as a ruler and lawgiver, acting as an immortal shepherd to humanity. It only started to go wrong when the 2nd generation begat the 3rd and the vampires to run amok. So the 3rd generation, also known as the Antediluvians, founded the great vampire clans. You can trace a direct lineage of blood to the Antediluvian of your clan. We know much more about them than we know about the 2nd generation. After the first city, Cain largely departs the story. Perhaps he was disheartened by the depredations of his descendants, and the Diluvians went on to build a second city in imitation of the first, but it's doubtful their rule was just. There are people moving the cathedral, and both you and Benoit have made sure none get close enough to hear you talk. As Benoit goes on, your undead senses detect something that deviates from the normal hubbub of devout mortals, cathedral workers, and tourists. You hear the squeaking wheels of an old wheelchair that hasn't been taken out too often. You've been doing this for 20 years, and still you pull stuff like this, Michael. Why did you bring your sister? We're on the field. This is no place for the disabled. The voice is that of an older man, Midwestern. He sounds exasperated, as if he was rehashing an argument for the 100th time. She wanted to come. She doesn't get out of the house very often. Besides, you should be grateful, Bobby. We would have never found our new partners without her. The second voice belongs to an old man, too. It's more intense. It still holds echoes of a Russian accent. Yes, because she talked about vampires online. You got your door busted in by the FBI, as I remember. We sure did. But we cleared the misunderstandings, and now we're consultants. Quit your griping. Bobby, Michael, play nice. You sound like an old couple. The third voice has a heavier Russian accent and belongs to an older woman. All three clearly know each other for a long time. Let's find Father Anthony and see if he can help us. What I've heard, he is an exceptional man. Yeah, exceptional. He doesn't like moles. Ned Benoit and discreetly point out the three people approaching along the cathedral center aisle. He has an understanding. This is bad news, whoever these three are. We need to get out. Let's meet outside. You have to stand up and walk right past the three mortals, when they don't realize what you are. Pretending to be mortal is second nature to all vampires, or at least it should be. Besides, not long ago you were a perfectly ordinary human. You adopt the oblivious smile of someone who doesn't suspect that anything might be amiss in God's house. Take a few steps towards the aisle. Now that you get a better look at them, the three mortals approaching you have an aura of experience about them. It looks like they've seen a thing or two and emerged alive. Both men have the stubbles and overgrown haircuts of those whose lives are consumed by an obsession. The woman looks at you casually and stares. She has a great quilt on her knees. You've never met a mortal who knew how to deal with the world of the kindred. Something tells you that these three just might. Panicking, you turn around and start walking briskly towards the side of the cathedral, away from the three. You don't want to attract attention to yourself, so you pick up a brochure detailing how you can donate money to the cathedral. You pretend to study the leaflet and hope the three turn their attention away from you. If you were still human, you'd be sweating from the stress. It's hard to say what exactly about these three makes you so worried. Something in how they carry themselves, like they know what kind of terrors lurk in the night. Even from a distance, you hear a few snippets of their conversation thanks to your vampiric abilities. Don't get me wrong, I love having funding. God knows we spend enough time in the wilderness. That's what makes us hunters, Bobby. We paid the price. The two men settle in the front pew, exactly where you and Benoit sat just a moment before. The woman waits in the wheelchair, turned towards the high altar. Discreetly, you tuck away the brochure and stroll casually down the side aisle toward the exit. That was a close call. Who were those three? Did you recognize them? I might have. Not sure. They're stuck with a few tenacious vampire hunters living in the city. One of them is supposed to be a woman in a wheelchair. For a second, Benoit looks at you as if he was wondering whether he should say something. It's one thing I've always wondered about the story of Cain. Traditions in Camarilla put a lot of faith in the relationship between sire and child. You're supposed to follow the example of your maker. Yet Cain didn't really seem to care for the vampires he embraced. Did he think it was a mistake to create our kind? My sire left me. Is that common among the kindred? Yes, unfortunately. Kindred are selfish and cruel. You know, I'm Sophie's child, and you're her protege. It's amazing that we share an appreciation for the mythologies of our kind, considering Sophie has little interest in questions of the spirit. You stared at Benoit. You knew there was something he wasn't telling you. When all the talk about canon in the first city, you forgot about it. The only question is, what does this mean? Does Sophie know that her child is talking to you? Probably not. Don't hold it against me, but I admit finding some pleasure in seeing you suffer the effects of Father Anthony's faith. I suppose that's the demon in me. I understand that you're bitter, Benoit. I'm not your enemy. I'm sorry. I know that. It's just that sometimes I get too tempted by sin. You know, we should meet again. We've talked so much about myth, but maybe that's cowardly when the reality of faith is right in front of us. I'll introduce you to Father Anthony. You nod, unsure whether that's a good idea. When one walks away and you follow his example, I want to hang around the cathedral any longer. Okay. You arrive at the leech pitch, finding it less rowdy than the last time. The bar is still packed, but the dance floor is empty tonight. Instead, the old, crackling speakers are playing music that would probably sound like noise even on high-end hardware. Nia is nowhere to be seen, but you do remember she requested that you ask for her at the bar. You approach the bar as the bartender finishes pouring a beer for an older guy in a faded fraying Iron Maiden t-shirt. He turns to you. What can I get you? Hey, is Mia around? No, she's not in tonight. Looks you up and down, and a spark of recollection shines in her eye. Oh yeah, that's right. He takes a well-worn book from behind the counter, some kind of young adult vampire novel. Flips through it. She produces a piece of paper from between the book's pages, and passes it to you. She told me you'd be interested in reading this. You find a relatively quiet corner and take a look at the note. T wants to meet you. I'll arrange it, but you need to prove you're trustworthy. Look around the leech pit for a guy named Bruce, buff dude, tattoo sleeve on his right arm. I'm 90% sure he's somebody's retainer, sent here to spy on us by the cam. Give me the name of his master, write it on this card, then return to the bar. Alright, retainer is a human who serves as a vampiric master. Can rarely go without at least a few of these mortals, both for convenience and protection. Antediluvians, the progenitors, members of the third generation, the founders of the 13 vampire clans. Generation, the number of steps between a vampire and the mythological Cain. A hard descendant from the first of vampire is, while generation provides great power, since that's a stronger curse and hunger. The man immediately notices you but doesn't move from his spot, when the seats are empty. When you focus his blood to boost your attractiveness, it's not just Bruce notices. He's into you, so other people, doing double takes as you pass your table. Hey, you. Have I seen you here before? Yeah, you were at the concert the other night. Oh yeah, I remember. Good to see you again. I know you're here because somebody asked you to spy on this place. It made me really happy if you gave me their name. What? Do you mean Sam? He catches himself, realizes what you're doing. His eyes dart over your shoulder. You saw you had him cornered, but he suddenly leaps over the table in one smooth move and dashes through the sparse crowd. You catch up to him outside. He's bolting all right. Throwing caution to the wind, you focus your blood and give chase after Bruce. He might be faster than a human, but his abilities are a fraction of yours. He dashes into a nearby alley and you follow suit. Before he can jump the fence, you tackle him to the ground. A short brawl later, you are standing a few meters apart. Bruce eyeing you with hatred. Listen, your cover is blown. I was told who you are. You better come clean. Your master's name. That's all I need. Bullshit. Besides, she'd kill me if I told you. I quite like being alive. Here's the deal. You tell me your master's name and you save yourself a world of hurt. Unless you want to exit this alley on a stretcher, you'd better whack. He doesn't wait for you to finish talking. He jumps at you, kicking and punching with dizzying speed. He takes you by surprise and he puts you on the defensive. As you're about to retaliate, he breaks away, jumps the fence into the end of the alley, and is gone into parts of the city unknown. Time to leave something for Mia. Borrow a pen from the bar and flip Mia's note to the other side. Sam, you know it's a she. That still leaves a lot of options. You can pull a name out of your ass and let Mia figure it out. Mia asks you for a name. If all you have is a fragment and the gender, you'll have to do. You jot down a note. Bruce referred to his master as Sam, called her as she. You pass the piece of paper to the bartender. Sticks it back in the same book. Hold on 1 second. She wanted me to pass something on to you. She produces a cell phone from behind the counter. It's ancient, at least 15 years out of date. Oh, right, and this. A little charger for the piece of junk in your hand. You really did think of everything. Said she'll be in touch. Takes you a moment to remember how to operate this thing. You find this phone in this book is a blank. There's no Wi-Fi connectivity and no saved messages. It's got a version of Snake, though. The bartender is already over at the other end of her domain, taking orders from patrons. With your analog contact nowhere in sight, you decide to move on for the night. Hopefully, your educated guesses based on the scraps of info you collected will be enough for me to call you. Okay. Frank Doherty, again. You're just leaving your haven when you notice a small note slipped under your door. You pick it up cautiously and fold it open. I know what you are. I know everything. You meet at the Beautiful View Motel, where everyone else will know too. The note is signed Frank. Pressing under your breath, you check the Beautiful View Motel. It's located in Queens. Getting there will take some time and something, and Frank notes suggests urgency. You run out of the apartment. Stepping into the Beautiful View Motel, you can't help but think that the name makes promises that the building fails to deliver. Outside, there's nothing but an ugly parking lot, empty. The paint marking this parking space is almost completely worn away. Sitting in the lobby, it feels like there's decades worth of stale cigarette smoke. You're happy not being able to breathe anymore. Marshall looks like it was picked up from a yard sale in the 60s. There's something appropriate in the grubbiness of the surroundings. You fit the image you have of Frank perfectly. It's appropriate to find him in a place like this. You nod to the old woman manning the reception desk. She seems totally uninterested in what you're doing. Her eyes glued to the small TV perched to the desk. Cop show. Walking deeper into the motel, you find a lounge that might have aspired to a kind of lavish comfort in its glory days. Now it just feels sticky, like you need to wash your clothes afterwards. Frank sits on a bar stool. There's no bartender, but Frank has a shot glass in his hand. He looks even sweatier than usual. What's up, asshole? How does it feel not to know everything? You stop and look at Frank a little closer. He seems drunk. Not a good sign. Despite everything in your earlier encounters, he maintained the baseline of professionalism. You're drunk, Frank. Sure, I'm drunk. Fucking hell. Frank's voice ascends to an incoherent muttering. You stop to consider what to do. You're not used to dealing with Frank in a mood like this. He seems more confident and depressed at the same time, as if he had a secret that gives him power but also brought him down. You're holding an empty hand, Frank. You think you all have the cards, but you don't. Better spill what you know and this will get better for you. Tough talk. Maybe I'd have been impressed by that before, but not anymore. Frank sounds like he has plenty more bitterness inside him waiting to come out. Let me tell you something else. An air-splitting sound fills the lounge and a bright flash blinds you. For a second, irrational panic grips your dead heart. Is this sunshine? You're gonna burn to death in a cheap motel in Queens? As your vision adjusts, something whizzes past you. There's a series of thunking sounds, something impacting the bar. Frank is lifting the shot glass, miraculously still in his hand. A massive blood stain spreads across his shirt. For a bizarre, incongruous moment, you stare at the thing sticking out of Frank's chest. It's a crossbow bolt. Another two lights shattered next to the bar, having missed their targets. One missed you by a hair's breadth. Turning around, you see a figure dressed in black tactical gear storming into the room in eerie silence. Perhaps the flash bang damaged your ears. They drop their tactical crossbows and lift up rifles. Who comes prepared with a crossbow? Frank slumps to the floor, a wooden crossbow bolt still paralyzed a vampire. But stuck through a human heart, it kills. The scent of blood fills the air. You are a creature of the night. These attackers can't do anything to hurt you. You will rip them apart. Fuck you! Attacker shoots you even as you shout. Bullets jump into your body, tearing your internal organs apart. You stagger for a second before launching yourself at the man in front. You grapple at him, trying to bite at his neck. To your surprise, your teeth clink into metal. He appears to be wearing some kind of special protective device on his neck. Another attacker hits you in the back with the butt of her rifle. It hurts and something breaks. You hope it wasn't important as you stagger back, feeling the incisors with your tongue. One is broken with the force of your mangled bite. This was a very bad idea. The attackers all have identical tactical helmets. Their expressions remain invisible under the hard plastic. But you know what they'll do. Shoot you until you die. Vampire or no vampire. You run between the attackers, holding your head with your arms, pathetically. Your only relief comes from being so close to them. You don't dare to fire weapons for fear of hitting each other. Instead, they beat you with their rifle butts, almost sending you tumbling to the ground. As more and more things break inside your body, you stagger to the lobby, hold the door open with a broken, bullet-ridden hand, and stagger outside. There are 4 SUVs parked by the motel's front door, all black with tinted windows. A man and a woman, middle-aged, dressed like detectives, look at you in surprise as you run past them, bloodied and broken. One tries to yell something as you stumble to your car, painfully wrench the door open, and turn the ignition. For a terrifying moment, you fumble with the keys, but then the car starts and you floor it, careening onto the highway. You only really feel safe when you reach your haven. Take off your clothes, watching in the mirror as your undead blood starts to heal your wounds. It's an amazing sight. One thing is clear, you almost died. Any human would have been killed from the wounds you sustained. You're still here, wondering what to wear before you head out to meet Sophie. You run into Sophie's building, ravenously hungry from mending your body. The doorman looks at you anxiously as you dash past, consciously sensing your bestial nature. You pound on the door of Sophie's apartment, more for the sake of your own nerves than because you think it's any help. After a few moments, Sophie herself opens the door and looks at you in surprise. She doesn't have her makeup on and her hair is disheveled. You've caught her on a night off. What happened to you? You step into the apartment and follow Sophie to her living room. You see the remains of a party. Empty glasses, a faint smell of blood in the air. You have no time to contemplate Sophie's social life, however. It was an ambush. They were prepared. You're compromised. Oh, fuck. For a moment, Sophie's facade cracks. She looks tired, then she rallies herself. Sit down and stay calm. I'll check whether this apartment is still secure. You sit down, suddenly conscious of the vast gulf and experience between you and Sophie. She's managed to stay alive for a very long time and knows how to survive. You only hope that you'll survive along with her. The next hour or so you sit on Sophie's sofa, answering minute questions about Frank and the commandos who assaulted you. At intervals, she makes murmuring phone calls to mysterious contacts. After a longer while, Sophie lets you go. You should be safe. More importantly, I should be safe too. I've taken measures to secure both of our havens, but keep your eyes open nonetheless. You leave Sophie's apartment wondering whether you'd survive another ambush like this. All right. Well, that sucked. Okay. Well, thanks for watching. If you'd like to start a content and see what happens next to M, be sure to like, subscribe, and that bell icon to be notified of when I make additional uploads. And if you're not subscribed yet, clicking that button will give you a little surprise, a little show. All right. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.